The Grampians Peaks Trail is a 160km through hike that follows the main ridge and various peaks of the Grampians mountain range in Western Victoria. The range is characterized by its sharp, uplifted sandstone cliffs, varying rock formations and diverse vegetation. The hike is generally considered to have 3 sections: a southern, central and northern section, each section being roughly 50 kilometres. While most hikers complete each section over 4 days, our aim is to do the first section, the northern section from Mount Zero to Hall's Gap, in one long day.
He's being a good boy and hiding his shoes.
So I haven't been saying much because it's been pretty much pitch black, but we've just crossed over Mount Stapleton. Still on the trail. I don't know when the sun's going to come up, so you're still going to just be dealing with pitch black walking, which is a shame because we've just passed over a really interesting and good looking bit of track. But oh well, the sun should come out in about half an hour or so, but we're going to keep walking on. A road. Well, that's handy. Shame that we don't need any water just yet. Hopefully they've got these water tanks out through the majority of the walk. We don't have to walk into all the campsites to get water, or at least there's creeks or something, because I don't want to walk into every single campsite. Voila, we can see now. Amazing. Oh, the day's walking is done. I'm going to have a 5-second sleep and get up and keep walking.
8:15.
This is the campsite for the first day of the Grampians Peaks Trail. So we have done a quarter of our day. Fantastic. Let us enjoy some breakfast, I suppose, and keep moving. Got a very lovely, delicious and nutritious breakfast of motel biscuits. Fuel for champions. The only thing that would make it better is if I actually had a coffee this morning, but I didn't. Cheers. The serenity is great. Don't you just love cockatoos? We are heading up to what is believed to be the steepest section of the northern part of the Grampians Peaks Trail, or day 2 as it should be. We've just passed over, I think it was Rose's Gap Road, and now we're on the 7-kilometre stretch from the road to Gar Campground, which is predominantly uphill. So I imagine that I'm going to be hitting this steep hill fairly shortly. Plenty of waterfalls on this track. Beyond the waterfalls below, the trail quickly began to surprise me. I was, up until this point, fairly uninterested in the scenery and distant surroundings. Evidently, I wasn't patient enough, as in hindsight I have to rate the Briggs Bluff and Mount Difficult Plateau Trail as outstanding. I couldn't seem to walk for any length without stopping for another glance at the view behind me. It's always the steep parts of the tracks that seem to have the best views, but it's quite nice up here. The Peaks Trail, at least to me, had painted itself to be catered more towards tourism rather than a natural hiking experience. The northern section of the Grampians Peaks Trail remains rugged and undeveloped. An older trail network already connected Mount Zero to Halls Gap. There are, of course, aspects of the Peaks Trail that are overdeveloped, notably a series of privately owned huts within this northern section, but these huts are, in the very least, disconnected from the main trail. I don't think this shortcut's gonna save us any time.
Oh, it will, mate.
It's shorter in distance, but man, steep.
Hope you can find some jugs amongst all those tiny crimps.
I know. I don't have much to work with. We opted to bypass the campsite for the second day, so technically we're 2 days into the Grampians Peaks Trail. I think it really makes a big difference when you're not carrying an overnight pack. You can just go so much further if you've got the fitness, but some people prefer to take it nice and slow, sleep in, pack up late, walk a little bit and get to the next camp, but that's definitely not us. That's not how we like to hike. To each their own, I suppose, whatever makes you enjoy it. Let's go and tackle what is the third day of the Grampians Peaks Trail. Middle section's been a bit touch and go. Some of the sections have been downright boring and tedious over uneven terrain. It's hard to go very quickly, but then some sections have been really interesting. There's a long slabby section and then a very steep drop off, but currently we're on the edge of the range walking along. We've ticked over the 30-kilometre mark. We've got about 15 to go, and a lot of that 15 is downhill, thank the Lord. Surprised my hips still work. Normally following the Peaks Trail you would head up this hill to my right and you would meet Werdung, I think it's called, campsite. Anyway, not really necessary for us to do, it's just extra distance and extrovert, so all we're doing is just following the road to avoid having to walk up to the campsite, climb more and then walk back down. This must be our exit from the highway. Another factor that prompted us to complete this section as a day walk was the fact that you must pay for each campsite, meaning if you were to hike the trail over the intended 13 days, you would have to fork out over $500 to parks. Seems to be more of a punishment than a benefit, but at least there is no mandatory itinerary. You don't have to stay at any particular campsite if you don't want to. With the average day being around 12 kilometres with 600 metres of climbing, most fit hikers would find these distances to be far off what they could cover in a full day's walk. This is about the only time that I actually want to hear the sound of engines when I'm out in nature, because it means that we're very, very, very close to Halls Gap, and very close to food. and drink, and the end of this almighty slog. What's that?
59,434 steps.
Oh,
Let's do a couple of laps of the town.
59,000 steps. We said we'd get 60,000, man.
I know.
Oh my god. Alright, close enough. That's a wrap. We've done it. We're alive. Fantastic. We're going to go and get some fish and chips now. I think we deserve it.